So, can you tell me about some of the comics that you're reading?
Well, okay. Yeah, lately I have less and less time to read stuff. I don't read too much, but mostly what I read from recent times are usually manga. Uh and some usually some standalone books or stuff that, are one and dones and things like that. So what I'm really enjoying lately is Naoki Urasawa's Asadora. It's the latest series by him, and I'm really loving it. It's really fun, very, like lighthearted, a typical Naoki Urasawa book. So the latest issue just came out, so I haven't read that actually, but I'm kind of waiting to read it because it's a good feel good thing for me. So like I'm savoring it. Um, what else? What else am I reading? I recently read uh, Beneath the Trees, Where Nobody Sees, I think, by Brian Horwath. I think. I hope I'm saying that was right. But yeah, that book was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one. Have you read it yourself, or?
I haven't, not yet, but I do have Asadora Volume One on my shelf waiting for me. So,
Oh, cool, cool. Yeah, highly recommended. It's like I think yeah, it's like number 8 just came out. I really love it. Again, as I was talking about manga, I just got into this. Dan da Dan. This is the German version, so I'm practicing my German with these. I've recently watched the anime on Netflix, and it was so much fun. So much, like really crazy stuff going on.
yeah.
You never know what to expect, what's going to happen. So, like, I really enjoyed that. From recent times, what else do I think? I think, yeah, something memorable was Barry Windsor Smith's Monsters. I mean, it's been a while since I read that one, but yeah, it left a mark on me. I would feel from the stuff that I read recently. Like the story is so dark, but it's so well told, and it captivates you. You can't, just leave it. Like keep flipping those pages. Yeah, I don't know if you gave it a try. It's hard to recommend because the story is so dark and everything, but like of course it's I feel it's a masterpiece. I really enjoyed it.
When did that come out?
It's been at least a couple of years. I think it's been a while. So he's been working on it for a very long time though, like multiple decades. I heard, so yeah, it's been a long time coming, and finally came out. Maybe 2022, maybe a bit earlier. I don't remember the exact time, but yeah, I still have that on my mind, and like I want to give it another go sometime soon.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. Barry Windsor is one of my all-time favorites. So
Yeah,
I guess I missed it because he hasn't been publishing a lot of stuff for
yeah,
20 years almost, right? So
yeah,
the fact that he has something new now, I guess, slipped under my radar, and I'm definitely going to check it out because I'll read anything that he does.
yeah, yeah. It's really good. I mean, uh, it's like a huge book. The art is spectacular, and of course, the storytelling is masterful. It's so good. And apparently, I heard he was thinking of this as being like a Hulk story back in the day, like a few decades ago. Marvel didn't want it or something, and then he decided to make it on his own. um and like of course the way it is now, Marvel would never publish that. I feel, so like I'm happy that he did it on his own, and it's really, like a page turner in all the right ways and also the wrong ways.
Yeah. Have
Yeah.
you always been a Barry Windsor Smith fan?
Yes and no. The thing is, like, I actually discovered this work a bit late, like late in regards to, like, I mean, I discovered his work in Weapon X, and like that blew me away when it came out. Like it was, of course, like everybody, I was really affected, and this was brilliant, and the art was amazing, the story was really groundbreaking. I mean, for me, as a reader, like hearing about all the story about the background of Wolverine, and like shedding some light to his mysteries and everything. So it was really great. I really enjoyed it, but I didn't know his earlier work, like the stuff from Conan and everything. I didn't realize that, and later on I discovered those, and I found it very jarring to me because he had a very different distinct style beginning out. He was almost like a Jack Kirby-ish artist starting out, and he quickly grows out of that, like, and he becomes like a voice of his own, and a very distinct artist very fast. And yeah, so yeah, I so I discovered him, I guess, like midway through his career, went back and then like tried to catch up later on, and I've always been a big fan.
Yeah, I learned about him when he was working on Valiant, and then
Right.
I went back and found the other stuff. And yeah,
Yeah.
he definitely was an artist who it felt like within a couple issues went from generic artist to Barry Windsor Smith in like a couple
Right.
months, right? It was like really fast. At least it seemed
Yeah.
like from the outside. Who knows how much he was drawing in his spare time and practicing or whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you never know the story.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. He's one of those like unique voices in comics. I feel like very, very, like off his own. He always was innovative, and like in terms of what he did with his career as well. Like he started out doing the mainstream stuff and then moved on to his own creator own stuff. Like he launched this. I don't know who the publisher was, but he came up with these books that he was doing called Storyteller, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And like yeah, and then he disappeared for a while. Working on this book for 20 years, very enigmatic. I feel.
Yeah, and the Storyteller was supposed to be 12 issues, and it was only, I think, 9 ever came out, 8 or 9.
Yeah,
And there
something
was a
like
slipcase, and I have it upstairs on my shelf, and I have all the volumes that came out, and there's a gap in the slipcase waiting for
right.
those other 3 volumes that we'll never get,
Yeah, yeah, that's kind of disappointing.
I know, right? Because it was beautiful.
It was indeed. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Other than that, what do I read? I always, of course, grab some stuff by Daniel Warren Johnson. I love his work. Great guy, great artist, another unique voice in comics, and like very standout. I went back to his one of his earlier works. Yeah, right here, Extremity. I haven't read it yet, but I heard good things about it, and he never does anything wrong. I feel so. I'm looking forward to enjoying that.
I'm
And
also trying to play catch up with all of his work because I only recently discovered him.
oh, okay,
And I think Transformers was what made me
yeah,
aware of him, and now I'm just like I gotta read everything because he's
yeah,
so interesting, so good. That yeah,
yeah, yeah. And yeah, you got to look at his commissions too. It's like he does these insane commissions. Like this is like a cover illustration, and it feels weird to me that he spends that much brain energy on a commission. Like it's interesting. And yeah, he's amazing. But I love his work.
I feel like is turning into one of those creators that a lot of other creators not only love and appreciate, but are also kind of envious of in the way that he can, like you're talking about, like how can he put that much energy into a commission? Where does it come from? How do I get some of that
Yeah,
energy? Right. And I think that's always fun when you get around that, when you hear other creators get so excited about another creator, that is what really makes you want to go pay attention and dive in, because there's such a level of respect there that clearly that person has earned it, right? And it's like you need to pay
absolutely.
attention.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. He's one of those guys you could call an artist's artist. Like he's great, and doesn't mean that only artists enjoy him. I mean, obviously he's getting a lot of mainstream success and also recognition and awards and everything, which is amazing. I'm so happy to see that. I don't read that many mainstream books these days, but I do collect a lot of books because of art. So I'm doing more looking rather than reading. So
Yeah.
I do have a lot of books that I get, but yeah, unfortunately, I don't read too much. It feels bad in a way because like I'm finding less and less time to read stuff these days. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're busy drawing all your books, right?
Oh yeah. It's been yeah, the past couple of years, especially the work side of my like comic life has been taking over really in a big way. Like I'm spending a lot of time on the pages and on research and everything with our new book coming up and everything. So it's been taking a lot of time.
So the book that you're talking about Bug Wars, I presume.
And that's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
Bug Wars by Jason, Aaron, and I, and we're uh, uh, coming. We're making it through Image Comics, and it's coming out soon, February 12th. And yeah, we're very excited. It's about a kid that gets lost in his backyard, shrunk down to bug size. He finds a civilization of uh, uh, people living in his backyard, and it's like a chaotic world. And he tries to find his way out there, and it's basically the shortest version I could call it is like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids meets Conan the Barbarian. So it's like it's a crazy adventure. But it, yeah, as I said, in terms of work, it needs a ton of research and a lot of learning, and like also a lot of time spent on the pages, because I don't know if you can see, but yeah, I have a few books over there. They're all reference books for bugs and everything. I actually had some posters which I took down, all telling me all about bug and anatomy and everything like that. So I've been doing a lot of entomological research for this book, and getting to learn all about how bugs live, how they work, how they run around, how they mate, and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, being a comic artist can be strange at times.
It's not necessarily something you thought you'd ever be spending that much time on, right?
Not really. No, no, no. I wasn't fond of bugs or insects at all most of my life. But yeah, my view is changing now.
For anyone who's wondering and says like, "Oh, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids" or whatever, I'm not, 8 anymore or something. It's very different from that, right? Like that is like the
Absolutely.
super high premise, but when you get down to it, it's very unique. I think there's been other things in time that have done this shrinking down into a world thing, but this one is surprising, and the human level is very rich. I mean, you would expect that from Jason Aaron. There's lots of
Right.
stuff going on, depth and history that's like, whoa, what is happening? And then you get into the bug world, and it's a lot. I think the Conan the Barbarian thing, it's very appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we did a lot of Conan stuff with Jason, which like kind of like laid the groundwork for this. But we did as you mentioned, so much world building for this. Literally world building for the series. Like we created all these like civilizations, the cities that they live in, all these clans, all these different types of groups of like insect people, and all these ways that they live and what they do and their culture and their history. And it was a lot of preliminary work before getting into actually drawing any pages, or like creating the stories or whatever. So we really spent a lot of time in making this world come to life, and we have some plans going forward. That it's so open-ended that we have so many crazy ideas that we want to put into it. Yeah, it's we feel it's very unique, and like although it's a familiar theme, as you said, like people shrinking down into bug size, or like going into the body of another human or whatever. It's very familiar, and it's usually told in a very light-hearted way, like in a children's story or whatever. Sometimes like the Miyazaki anime, like the Ariete and everything. But as you said, ours is totally very much the opposite of like a children's tale. It's got a lot of violence, a lot of like weird sexual stuff also going on inside the book. So it's not definitely not for kids. Yeah.
And how many issues is this?
Our first story, which is the book 1 of the series, is 6 issues, and starting in February. And yeah, but yeah, it's not the whole story. We will continue with the follow-ups and going forward.
Cool. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest, because that first issue definitely kept me entertained. Do you have other projects for after Bug Wars, or will you go directly into more Bug Wars, assuming Image wants it, or anything you can talk about? Or
It's kind of open at the moment. With Jason, of course, we want to continue doing bug wars. We will do that. Uh, uh, but I also want to do some smaller stuff in between. Maybe like I want to write a little bit. So like I will probably do a couple short stories or whatever here and there. But yeah, the bug wars is kind of our priority. So it will be in the works. Even though we might give a short break or whatever between the stories. But yeah, nothing that I can declare right now that
Sure.
I'm doing. But yeah, otherwise, but I'll be keeping busy. And of course, I'm also doing covers all the time, and they're almost everywhere these days. Since I'm not under contract, I'm doing covers for everything, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for taking some time out of your very busy schedule to chat with me. I really appreciate it. And I'm super excited for more Bug Wars and anything else that you do in the future.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me on board, and it's always a pleasure seeing you, talking to you. Thanks.